when I began tracing what was behind these AI censorship capacities, and I saw that it was actually government agencies that were subsidizing the technological development of, what I began to call weapons of mass deletion, these sort of weapons of mass destruction for controlling speech.
How can I help? How can I be useful in ending needless suffering? Do not be afraid of work that has no end.
We have to organize a social movement.
We have an opportunity to lead by example versus just talking, hot air. I think the more people in this fight, the more we grow. Eventually it could change. The people are the ones that can make the change.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Change Agents, an Ironclad original presented by Firecracker Farm. This episode is about internet censorship and information manipulation with the founder for Freedom Online director, Mike Benz. As mentioned, Mike Benz is the founder and director of the Foundation for Freedom Online. He is also a former State Department official with responsibilities in formulating and negotiating U.S. foreign policy on international communications and information technology matters. He's also the author of the book, Weapons of Mass Deletion. This episode could not come at a more opportunistic time. If you're following the news, this episode comes out on a Wednesday. Tuesday, as in yesterday, Meta, through Zuckerberg, just announced drastic changes to their policies on both Meta and Instagram. Let's dive into the episode. Man, what a fortuitous day that you and I are chatting today. I woke up to the top of my news feed was Zuckerberg announcing a change to Meta and Instagram and that whole ecosystem when it came to, I don't want to get this wrong. Are you familiar with what they came out with today? What were the terms? Was it censorship? Was it community?
Oh, it was a bunch. So basically, I mean, this has been a pretty momentous week. It's been a long time coming. I've been monitoring these developments for a long time at Facebook, but they're finally implementing what I think were wish list items. So on the one hand, you had Nick Clegg, who was the head of global policy for Facebook. This is a guy who was the former deputy UK prime minister. He wrote a book called How to Stop Brexit after Brexit had already been passed. Basically told everyone to join Keir Starmer's Labour Party. That's the party that's currently in power in the UK that is arresting thousands and thousands of people for totally innocuous memes online. They've even now criminalized effectively the retweet button. And Nick Clegg, who's been hand in glove with that whole operation, has been running global speech policies at Facebook until just 2 days ago when he announced his resignation. You had Dana White, who was added to the board of directors at Meta just yesterday. And then today you had a whole slew of policy changes announced. One, that they were getting rid of the internal fact checker program at Facebook, which goes far beyond simple fact checking. Mm-hmm. It's an algorithmic demotion process where anything Facebook decides is misinformation gets automatically throttled, deboosted, shadow banned. They're moving towards a community note system, just like X has. They've announced that they are eliminating the restrictions on content around things like gender and gender identity and immigration. And they've also announced that they are getting rid of their previous algorithmic throttling of so-called political content, which many thought was basically just a proxy for being able to not talk about conservative ideas on Facebook. So all of that has been announced today on the heels of these structural changes that have been happening all week.
So that, of course, begs a follow-on question, and I'm curious your thoughts here. Are they doing this because they have wanted to do it for a while and they now see the opportunity to do so? Or are they doing this because they realize they are not going to survive the ecosystem that may exist post January 20th? Are they just trying to get in front and ride the wave, or have they always wanted to do this but felt unable to do so?
I think it's a combination of both. I think almost more than any other platform, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, their whole, empire, WhatsApp, um, Threads, they've got, there's multiple platforms that are all simultaneously being affected by these changes under Zuck's control there. I think it's a combination of two things. On the one hand, I think Zuck always felt a sense of very deep whiplash when the 2016 election came around. And suddenly, Zuckerberg has always been a pretty libertarian guy. If you read a book like Chaos Monkeys or anything about sort of the inside history of Facebook, and he's always, I think, had a kind of ideological predilection, not too dissimilar from Elon Musk, actually. But he has never been willing to put as much risk on the line. I give the example a lot of times that in 2019, Zuckerberg was making speeches in San Jose that censorship had gone too far on Facebook. He said that in 2019,
Wow.
before Facebook would triple down on censorship. But that was at the time when hate speech and other sort of pressures from Europe and from the inside here in the U.S. were cramming down on Facebook. He was already uncomfortable with that. He announced that he wanted to try to stop a lot of the censorship changes that were being made at Facebook. But then shortly after that, he was hit with a $60 billion ad boycott, an ad boycott called #ChangeTheTerms, meaning change the terms of service, cost Facebook $60 billion in market cap in just a few weeks. And so Facebook folded like a lawn chair and gave up, all the control, outsourced things to third-party moderators, outsourced them to the blob, outsourced them to these government and intelligence intermediaries, basically delegated that whole everything to do with speech to government affairs people, to the trust and safety team, to the global policy folks. And then even that was not enough. Doing everything, I think Zuck felt that he was under an existential crisis from the pressure coming from the 2016 election with Russiagate and the allegations of Russian interference on Facebook, which basically led to a massive CIA infiltration of the platform. Half of the trust and safety team ultimately became former intelligence agents. You had the advertising pressures that were put on Facebook to cripple the company if they didn't go through with these censorship policies. Facebook folded and did everything DHS asked in the run-up to the 2020 election, censoring pro-Trump voices. And Zuckerberg himself even opened up a $400 million effective in-kind contribution to the Biden campaign in order to help Biden's victory.